number 2. The man is sportscaster Zach Maskavich of WNCT Greenville. He goes down, and he goes down hard. And what's worse, he had to film himself getting hit himself.
March Madness almost officially upon us here in Columbus, Ohio. The man to my left, Coach Roy Williams of the Carolina Tar Heels. Coach, you guys don't play till Friday, but you're used to this time of the year. What's going through your head right now as you get your team ready for the first round? Carolina Tar Heels in the round of 32. It was a full team performance against the Washington Huskies. Luke May and Nasir Little combined for 40 points and 21 rebounds en route to a 22-point victory. And after having their season end at this very stage last year, the Carolina Tar Heels are back in the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2017. The buzz around the nation and the Queen City yesterday was focused on Duke superstar freshman Zion Williamson and his return to the Blue Devils lineup after a mild knee sprain kept him out of the Blue Devils' previous 4 games. And Zion wasted no time getting the Spectrum Center loud and the crowd on their feet because Zion looked like he had not missed a beat. Late in the game, the defense makes a stand and holds the Redskins to a 29-yard field goal. That made it a 6-point ball game and gave the offense the chance to march down the field and potentially win the game. The Panthers, they had a lot of confidence that Cam Newton and the offense would deliver, but instead, the Panthers finished 16 yards short of their first road win of 2018. It's a story that the 9 on Your Side sports team first brought to you on air and online yesterday, that Jeff Compher and East Carolina have agreed to a buyout of Jeff Compher's contract extension that he signed in June. Now, Compher will remain as the athletic director through May 1st, which means he will make a longevity bonus of $140,000 on April 30th. On top of that, the buyout has agreed to pay Compher $1.26 million over the next 5 years through April 2023. This North State team has been incredible this entire tournament. 3 games, they've given up just 1 hit, 1 earned run, and this game was so close that they gave up just 1 hit, and there was a chance that they lost this game, but Cash Daniels-Moy able to slide home on that Thomas Barrett dribbler. What an exciting finish it was, and Greenville, again, it pays to win. They get a few days off before they play in that U.S. title. In the last 100 games, Duke has won 50 games, UNC has won 50 games. Duke has scored 7,767 points, UNC has scored 7,765 points. 2 points separate the last 100 games. Welcome to Greenville's newest business, Stumpy's Hatchet House.
It's very primal and organic, and it's darts, but darts on steroids. It's a lot of fun.
Stumpy's is the largest indoor axe-throwing company in the United States with venues all over the country. Their newest location on Dickinson Avenue in Greenville. And Stumpy's arrived in the East thanks to a family tie to the Ford and Shep restaurant.
Came for their soft opening of their restaurant, saw this little uptown district, fell in love with it, really saw the potential here.
And we saw potential for a good time, got ourselves a tour and a lesson.
We have 8 pits total. Each one has a different unique name. We have Pit Street, Arm Pit, Brad Pit, Pirate Pit. We also have 4 pits in the back. Depending on the size of your party that you make a reservation for, we'll place you so that you have room. Throwing the hatchet is you want to make 1 revolution before it sticks. So it takes most people 10 or 15 times. Everybody's walking in on an even playing field. People just don't throw hatchets these days. It's so safe. We allow BYOB. You can bring beer, bring wine, you can bring in food or have food delivered.
It's time to throw these hatchets now.
Absolutely.
You can show me some different techniques, and then we'll take a test of the board here.
We'll explain the throwing zone here is 12 to 15 feet. Depending on your throwing style, you may have to come forward or backwards. It's not about strength. It's just about learning that throw. And then we'll teach everybody 2 throws. Both overhand. We have a one-handed and a two-handed throw. That would be a 4-pointer. Not quite a bullseye, but got 4 points if we're playing to a game of 21 on that one.
So how do the points work here?
All right, so we have a bunch of different games. One of the most popular is 21. 5 points, 4 points, 3 points, 2 points, 1 point.
What are these dots out here?
So if you're losing in the game of 21, whoever's ahead can't do this, but if you're losing, you can call your next shot as a lucky 7 and go for one of these, and if you call it and you're behind and you hit it, you get 7 points. So it's a way for somebody that's trailing in a game to do a comeback.
Cool. All right, let's see what I got here.
All righty.
I'm going for a lucky 7 here. Which lucky 7 do you like?
I go for the top right.
Top right. All right. See what we got here. I'm too competitive to not try that again.
Nice. You got it.
Let's try something a little easier, a regular bullseye.
Nice.
There we go.
For bullseye, you come over here, Zach.
What we do here?
Ring this bell. Every time you get a bullseye, go crazy with it. That's how we do it at Stumpy's.
You know, it really wasn't that long ago that Todd Gurley was playing under the Friday night lights just up the road in Tarboro. Now, he's getting ready to play in the biggest game of his life at Super Bowl 53 in Atlanta. I caught up with Gurley's high school coach, Jeff Craddock, to talk about Gurley's early years as a Tarboro Viking. Do you remember what it was like the first time you met Todd Gurley?
Yeah, I can remember it very well. I've told the story many times, of course. I'm always glad to tell it again. A middle school coach named Ryan Wells, who now lives in West Virginia, and he said, Coach, there's a kid down there that just looks a little bit different than everybody else. Seems a little faster, seems, you know. I said, okay, those are always good to have. I said, you know, give me the name. And he said, Todd Gurley. I said, Gurley? I said, that's a name, you know, I've been here for a while. I've never heard of anybody, you know, with that last name.
If it wasn't for that encounter between Craddock and Wells, Gurley started Tarboro? Might have been a little shaky.
You know, to be a part of Tarboro football, you gotta, the expectations are there, and they don't get changed much. You either do what you need to do or you're no longer part of it. So, you know, we do our summer, and we were working out. So it was like the second week in August, so we were rolling pretty good now. And a coach comes up to me and says, there's a parent over here that wants to talk with you. And so I go bopping over there. She's a friendly lady. Hello, Coach Craddock, you know, how are you doing? I'm like, so good, you know, I've got my son here. He wants to come out and play football. And I was like, you know, we've kind of been doing this thing for a couple weeks now. You know, where's he been? What's he been doing? He's like, well, he's been in Maryland visiting his father. And I was like, well, okay. And she's like, well, go ahead and introduce yourself. And he's like, my name's Todd Gurley. And as soon as I heard that name, it was like, boom. I was like, you know what? Yeah, we'll work with your son. We'll get him caught up to speed.
So let's go back to the sophomore year. You guys end up winning a state championship.
Praise the Lord.
But you didn't have Todd starting as a sophomore, did you, on varsity?
I did not. It shows you how smart of a coach I am. You know, I was keeping his legs fresh. I knew he was going to have a long career ahead of him.
But again, at Tarboro, everyone has to earn their role, and the seniors ahead of Gurley had earned their playing time.
I was like, listen, I don't want to pull up a kid, even though he's as good as Todd. I wasn't really going to uproot my seniors because they deserved it, you know, and so I just made the decision, you know, listen, let's just leave Todd down there.
Gurley would eventually see some varsity action as a sophomore. However, it was not at running back.
I did pull him up for the playoffs, and I did put him on the kickoff team. He was number 45, and he actually made a couple tackles in the state championship game, but I don't think he ever carried the football for us at all. Trust me, I knew going into the next year that he was going to be the man.
When Gurley finally made it to varsity, he made the most of those 2 years, rushing for over 4,000 yards and 64 touchdowns en route to 2 state championships in a Tarboro Vikings uniform. That earned him a spot on Craddock's Wall of Fame with an autographed picture.
I said, listen now, you're signing this picture, so this would be the first thing he actually officially signed. Just take a look at that signature. It's a little rough, you know what I mean? So I tell them, I said, boys, you know, you're going up on the Craddock Wall of Fame. Now, you want it to look good, so they come in. It's funny to watch them. They come in and they get to practicing on paper, you know. And so I was showing Todd, that's me signing his name. Okay. So I put number 1 over there. So here he goes. Those are some of, you know, his early attempts. So then we tried. I said, okay, bud, let's try initials. So that was me doing a TG.
I was going to say, I like that. That looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think he uses that more today. So, you know, this was his early attempts on doing the TG.
Gurley has mastered the autograph by now, but sometimes he just likes to come back home to Eastern North Carolina.
I said, you ready to get out of the bright lights of Los Angeles? Yeah, he's, man, Coach. He said, I'm telling you, so I can't wait to come home. You know, he said, some of these guys, you'd already booked flights and are gone. And he said, he goes, I'm ready to come home. And I said, well, home's ready to have you. And so he flew in the next day. The first place he come was right to the practice field. Just standing out there, him and his buddies, just watching us practice football, hanging out with the guys. And a lot of people, this was under the radar at Walmart. He took care of like $6,000 or $7,000 of layaway gifts for people he just didn't even know. Like they just drew names out. And, you know, if you had, you know, toys on layaway for $500, okay, you were free. The next ticket, well, okay, it was $1,000, they're paid off. I mean, that's what he does. And it's just, it's refreshing. and it makes you even more proud to say, hey, man, Todd Gurley, he's a Tarboro Viking, and, he's just a special young man.
Todd Gurley, a Tarboro Viking. Brian Bailey, you got to see him play on Touchdown Friday. What was it like seeing #1 in a Tarboro Viking uniform?
I remember one night at North Pitt, I got to North Pitt late in the second quarter, and I wanted to get home and get back for Touchdown Friday. I needed 2 touchdowns from Todd Gurley before I could leave. He ran a sweep, ran for a touchdown, got the ball back, ran for another touchdown, and we got the highlights. But he was one of the best ever in all my years at WNCT to watch.
It's going to be awesome to see him play on the Super Bowl. Rams, Patriots, who are you taking? Right now we are along Arndale Road here, which is of course the main artery into Morehead City. And if you look right behind me here, we have some trees down. Now this tree was completely blocking the right lane of traffic into Morehead City, but we just had a bulldozer come over and kind of push it out of the way here. You can see how big this tree was when it fell, most likely from those high wind gusts that we had last night. After a week away from home, the ECU football team back inside Dowdy-Ficklin Stadium tonight as the Houston Cougars came to town. Now Houston brought with them one of the top offenses in the country as the Cougars came into this evening's game having scored at least 40 points a game in every game so far this year. So Pirates defensive coordinator David Blackwell's job to slow down the defense. And how about the birthday boy? That's Garrett McGinn, big number 55, in the captain's meeting on the field before this one. We start the action in the first. Houston already up 7-0 when De'Eric King keeps it himself on the play fake, gets outside, fakes that throw, fights his way into the end zone as Houston quickly up 14-0. Same score in the second. That's when ECU quarterback Reed Herring, he drops back and he's looking deep for Trayvon Brown. And watch this, Brown makes the catch, but I saw my life flash before my eyes while filming that. Luckily, everyone was okay. The drive would stall out. ECU would settle for a field goal. Just over a minute left in the half when the Cougars strike again. King hits Romulo Booker for the score as the Pirates trailed 21-3 at the break. But again, turnovers would plague the Pirates in this one. The Cougars with 14 points off of Pirate turnovers. ECU coughed the ball up 4 times in this game, including this interception in the first half. Now late in this one, true freshman quarterback Holton Ahlers would come in the fourth quarter and lead the Pirates on 2 late touchdown drives, but it was just too little too late as Houston takes it 42-20 the final. Coach Scotty Montgomery says the loss came down to a lack of offensive production.
I think it just came down to just a complete offensive inefficiency in some different situations. We were 9 of 21 on third down offensively, which means we had to make up for some non-first down plays. Thought we were really, really poor on first down offensively. I thought that Holton came in at the end of the game, gave us a tremendous boost. That's something that will not go unnoticed.
Over in Chapel Hill, the North Carolina Tar Heels were at home tonight playing host to an angry Virginia Tech team that was coming off a bad loss to 5th-ranked Notre Dame a week ago. So the Heels were hoping for some home field advantage tonight at Kenan Stadium. We start in the first. The Hokies up 7-3 and looking for more. Ryan Wills' pass is tipped, and that's Patrice Rene diving in for the interception, but the Heels would not capitalize off that turnover. A little bit later, same score when quarterback Cade Fortin keeps it himself. He's heading for that near sideline, getting some great blocking downfield. Fortin eventually dragged out of bounds after a gain of 40, but the Heels would settle for a field goal. They were then down 7-6. Now Carolina would keep this one close throughout, but eventually the Hokies proved to be too much for the Tar Heels as Virginia Tech picks up the road win, 22-19, that final score. Now, every Saturday night, we like to close out our sportscast with the nominations for the Touchdown Friday Play of the Week. Now, you, the fans, get to vote on the winner, and you can vote right now on Touchdown Friday's Twitter page. That's twitter.com/TouchdownFriday. We'll announce the winner live on air Monday evening at 5:20. And here's a look at your Week 9 nominees. Play 1 comes to us from the first play of the game at Havelock. The opening kick. Cam Edmonds fields it deep, and he's going to take it out of the end zone. The rain not slowing him down. Edmonds cuts it to the near sideline, goes pedal to the metal. Nobody going to catch him. The Rams cruise past White Oak. That game was on Wednesday. Play number 2, also from Wednesday night. D.H. Conley pinned on their own 1-yard line. No problem when you have C.J. Johnson on the outside. Nick Hamilton hits him in stride, and the future ECU Pirate simply wins the foot race to the end zone. A 99-yard score. One of his 5 touchdowns on the day. It helped Conley top New Bern. Lastly, we head south to Croatan as David Wallace, with ice water in his veins, hits the game-winning field goal as time expires. That would help the Cougars edge Richlands. Vote now. The poll will be open until Monday at 5 p.m. Now be sure to stay with us. We have a last look at your weather coming up right after the break.